Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 annual meeting of the membership. I'm Mandy Stankuler, your Field Services and Communications Director. And I'm honored to be here tonight with MHI staff and executive committee members who will share with you all of the successes the organization had last year. Just a couple of reminders as we begin the meeting. Next slide, please. If you can't hear, please check your computer audio because it's probably something to do with that. We will have time at the end for questions, so please chat those into the chat box throughout the presentation, and we'll have time for Q&A at the end. And finally, roll call will be conducted by putting your name, your chapter number, your city, and your state into the chat box. So please go ahead and do that now if you're online joining us. And as you do that, I'm going to turn things over to our MHI president, Ron Manriquez.
Thank you, Mandy. Hello and welcome to the Mended Hearts annual meeting. We're glad you're all here today. And we're excited to give you this report on our organization. I'm pleased to share with you everything we accomplished in 2022. And now, I have the pleasure of calling to order our 2023 annual meeting. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight. Do I hear a motion?
I move to adopt the agenda for tonight.
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor say or type yes.
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 Motion passed. Next, I will open the floor and entertain a motion to approve the standing rules that you see on this slide. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the standing rules that you see on the slide.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the standing rules, type or say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes. The last vote before we begin our reports is the adoption of the Committee of the House. You see on the slide the Committee of the House. Do I have a motion to adopt the Committee of the House?
I move to adopt the committee of the House.
Second.
All in favor of approving the Committee of the House, say or type yes.
Yes.
And this motion passes. Now on to Mandy Stankuler, our Field Services and Communications Director, who will give us the annual report.
Hey. So bear with us. This is the first time we've done a hybrid meeting, so we appreciate your flexibility. I now have the honor to present the 2022 annual report. So to begin, just a brief overview of how we did in terms of some big numbers. Very excited to say that we continued to grow our membership, and at the end of 2022, we had over 96,000 members. And that number has only gone up this year so far in 2023. We've been around for 72 years this year, so last year was our 71st birthday. In December of last year, we had 238 chapters and groups, and altogether they hosted over 1,300 meetings, so that's pretty great. And then I think the most impressive number is that our social media marketing campaigns and awareness campaigns like Share Your Heart and Rock Your Star, they helped us share our message with over 4 million people around the world. So a big pat on the back to you all. I'm going to talk briefly about some of our programs, our support TAVR program, transcatheter aortic valve replacement. Some of you have heard us talk about that this year, but we actually launched it in 2022. It's a really important program to help support those who are either going to have the procedure or they've had it and they really need to connect. So this patient program is for people to connect over the phone, in person, or through email. So we'll continue to reach out for people who are interested to support TAVR patients this year. And Welcome Home Heart Failure, really a very important program that got its legs in 2022. We signed up 188 registrants around the country. Tammy and a couple of other staff members sent over 4,500 emails last year, if you can believe it. It's like a part-time job. And even more impressive, 1,128 phone calls were made by very few heart failure patients. I mean, we're talking about 12 people or so who made that many phone calls last year to those heart failure patients. So thank you to those, you know who you are. The My Heart Visit program, one of our signature programs that started during COVID to be able to support people virtually. After, 2021 came to an end, 2022, more chapters started opening up to hospital visiting, but virtual visiting has still remained a key piece of what we do. So we had 642 accredited visitors last year, and of those 628 were virtually accredited as well. They were trained on 16 Zoom trainings that Jody did monthly, sometimes bi-monthly. And then altogether, those visitors made 29,000 virtual visits and 31,000 hospital visits. And so I see the hospital visit number going up as more hospitals open, but I think our virtual visits are going to stay strong as well. And talking about virtual, we did a lot of virtual education. 1,900 patients and families attended our webinars last year. We did 21 of them. That's about 2 a month. So it was a lot of work, but really worthwhile. We produced 28 videos on different topics. And then 21,000 viewed our webinars once we put them on YouTube. So we're really getting our message out there. Educational materials, wow, our go-to guides, 3 of them we put out in 2022. Heart attack, heart failure, and you'll notice cholesterol won an award. It got first place in the Communicator Award of Excellence for medical print content. It's pretty fabulous. And then we put out postcards. And just a reminder, when you see those postcards, everything that we put out to the chapters, we print them and we ship them for free. It's all a benefit of being part of Mended Hearts and Mended Little Hearts. And we spent a lot of time last year getting the 2022 leadership training ready. It was about a year ago now. We trained 150 leaders over 9 different sessions. Our marketing handbook and peer support handbook were labors of love. They took a long time, but boy, they were worth it. There's some excellent material in there. And the training focused on 4 different areas: building community, creating connection, leadership, and peer support. And communications, one of my personal favorite areas. If you are not yet a member of our Connections in a Heartbeat forums on our website, then we encourage you to sign up. Almost 15,000 members are on there. You can choose more general forums like Mended Hearts or Mended Little Hearts, or more specific to your disease type. Heartbeat continued to do well. We put out 5 issues last year, 4 normal ones, and then a professional issue. And we were also given a couple of awards for Heartbeat, which is actually not unusual. The magazine continues to win awards every year. We won the Communicator Award of Excellence for an association magazine, which is a pretty tough category. And the Communicator Award of Excellence winner for feature writing. And that was for our Rock Your Scar in April of last year, which you can see the beautiful photo up there from the cover. We sent out 12 national newsletters in an effort to keep up our communications with the membership. And then we sent out 12 chapter newsletters to help those chapters who are producing their own newsletters. And Amanda Stewart and Marvin Kaiser are going to speak a little bit later about our other 2 programs, Mended Hearts and Mended Little Hearts, but I'm going to briefly touch on Young Mended Hearts, which started at the end of 2021, but took off last year. And we had 2 different groups form, one in Chicago and one in Northwest Washington. Those groups held 38 meetings made up of members all around the world. And I have to say, this is truly one of our most global programs, because we do have people who are in many different countries who need support. And I send them to Diana or now to Jen. So one of our groups does bravery bags, and they're continuing to do that this year. So. And we have 2 big awareness campaigns every year. Share Your Heart is made up of 3 different components, basically. We've got our photo contest, our essay contest, and our awareness campaign. And photo contest, you can see almost 60,000 views, essay contest, 45 entries, and awareness materials in time to help get the word out for Heart Month and CHD Awareness Week. So the essay contest is coming up, and that's okay. Essay contest is coming up in a couple of weeks, so we encourage you to get those entries in. And finally, to finish, Rock Your Scar, another great year, 205 contest views, almost 600 photo entries, and over 40,000 votes. So it continues to be excellent. That's all for the annual report. I'm going to turn things over to Ron, our president.
Hello, everyone. When I started my presidency, I never thought 4 years would pass so quickly. This will be my last president's report. The Mended Hearts Incorporated has continued to grow and provide support, education, and advocacy to patients, their caregivers, and their families. In 2022, the MHI Board of Directors worked tirelessly, met 12 times, and attended one special meeting that was called about an issue that needed to be urgently addressed. These wonderful volunteers continue to serve MHI faithfully. We have our executive committee consisting of me, your president, executive vice president Denise Duke, Mended Hearts vice president Marvin Kaiser, Mended Little Hearts vice president Amanda Stewart, and treasurer Al Voss. We also have our wonderful board members, Marianne Mayhood, Bob Hoffman, Ray Trapp, Mike Weber, Catherine Lobian, Indina Chanel, Nicole Sanchez, Lee Parker, and Robert Bray. Thank you very much for your dedication to MHI. Executive Committee and Board of Directors met 12 times during 2022. As you see on the slide, the board approved policies, approved and rejected alliances with other organizations, started committees, approved Amanda Stewart as Mended Little Hearts Vice President, approved this year's budget, and unfortunately canceled the 2023 conference in Albany. We cannot do all this work without our staff. On staff in 2022, we had Executive Director Andrea Baer, Program Director Jody Smith, Field Services and Communication Manager Mandy Sankuler, Membership Specialist and Database Manager Lisa Goodman, George Humes, Part-Time Shipping and Inventory Specialist Katie Netgrass, County Manager Leslie Brown, Executive Assistant, Celeste Hall, Customer Service Representative, Vicki Churchman, Customer Service Representative, and Tammy King, Program Administrative Assistant. Thank you for making 2022 a good year for this organization. Now, the Vice President's report, Marvin Kaiser.
Thank you, Ron. MHI regions, as you can see, Rocky Mountain, Western region, Southwest, Southern, Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, Central, and Northeast. Regional directors, Central region is vacant, Mid-Atlantic vacant, Midwest region vacant, Northeast region, Robert Hoffman, Rocky Mountain region, Ray Trapp, Southern region, Mike Weber, Southwest region is vacant, Western region, Angela Manriquez did not complete the form. Heritage chapters and satellites. Central region 12, Mid-Atlantic region 29, Midwest region 14, Northeast region 27, Rocky Mountain region 11, Southern region 37, Southwest region 9, and Western region 34, totaling 173 active chapters. 111 chapter meetings and events held. 4,483 heart pillows were delivered. 31,080 Mended Hearts heart guides were given out, and 52 hours of Facebook chats. Chapter and two satellites were formed in 2022. 18 chapters disbanded in 2022. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda Stewart, and I am the Vice President for Mended Little Hearts. We've had a pretty busy year last year, so I'm excited to share all of that with you. As you can see, we've had some movement in a lot of our regions from our regional directors. I did not finish my central region term because I moved into the Vice President position. We're very lucky to still have Marion Mayhood, Catherine Lobine, Candida, and Nicole. We have some that did not finish there. We have some really great groups. We have a total of 48 active groups. As you can see, we're kind of spread out across the region. One of our goals is we really want to keep those numbers moving. We have done a lot of great things this past year, and I'm not going to read them all to you, but you can see some of the great things that we've done. I know one of my near and dear ones is the bravery bags. We reached almost 3,000 people with our bravery bags in the hospital. That means 3,000 families were provided support during times of crucial in the hospital, whether it was the CICU, the step down unit, sometimes it was even during the ER. We've given out heart tokens, and I think another one that is near and dear is we also have passed out 60 angel boxes, which reaches out to our families that have lost their loved one and lets them know that they are not alone and they are still a member of our Mended Little Hearts organization. So we had some growth. We had one group formed in 2022, and we also had 2 groups that were disbanded. And now I'm going to turn it over to Al Voss for the treasurer report.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm pleased to say that 2022 was the 3rd best year on record of our 71 years through 2022. Just so you know, 2021 was the best year we've ever had. 2020 was the 2nd, and now 2022 was the 3rd best year out of 71 years. We ended 2022 with a net worth of roughly $1.3 million, which is excellent for us. Approximately 86%, it's actually 86.02% of every dollar goes into programs for patients. That's a huge amount for American nonprofits. And we report this chart to the IRS every year. And we go through an audit, and they're just absolutely amazed. Everybody's amazed at the amount of money that we put into the programs. In 2022, we exceeded the revenue budget. We spent less than the expense budget. We increased our advertising. We actually ran 150 million ads in 100 cities in the US and 20 cities in Europe. As Mandy showed, we increased our membership across the board. We actually opened a print shop here at the office in Albany where we can print our own materials and reduce our cost for printing materials. That's the booklets and trifolds and the discussion guides, business cards that you see. We received the highest rating of any nonprofit because we received the Platinum Award, which only goes to less than 0.1% of all nonprofits in the US. We ended the year with no short-term and no long-term debt. And in the states, we kept all 50 states, the registrations and all the legal aspects that we need to operate were kept up to date by our firms that we hire. You see a balance sheet. This report I'll mention in a few minutes will be available online. At the end of 2022, we actually ran 155 bank accounts. which included chapter and group accounts. We balanced those accounts actually since we came here for the 53rd month in a row. We balanced every bank account with no discrepancies, not even a penny missing. So thank you to Kay and the accounting department. Our auditor performed an inventory count, manual count at the end of the year, found no discrepancy in all the inventory that's kept here, which is in excess of $100,000. We also had an excellent audit report, which will be out on the web as soon as it's released. But all, as you may know, all financial reports are out on the web for the last 5 years. You may see, as some of the slides showed you, our trademark, the circle R or C on copyrights. Those are our trademarks. They're owned by Mended Hearts Incorporated, or the Mended Hearts Incorporated, and we protect this. It's called intellectual property. And at the end of 2022, we had all our logos, over 3 dozen logos, and word phrases, meaning Mended Hearts, Young Mended Hearts, Mended Little Hearts, all were registered long-term with the U.S. government, the Patent and Trademark Office. In 2022, we applied over 3 dozen copyrights to materials that the staff wrote from scratch. So they're ours, and we protect these. We also, as you know, continued the preferred vendor program, which is a license program to use our intellectual property to print for chapters and groups, and also to print for us if we needed or anything we did. Between Q4 or Q2 and Q4, as I mentioned, we ran 150 million ads. We had 2 marketing firms, one in Canada, one in England, and they did this as a test to see what colors and what words generated with people. And we knew exactly where our advertising was, what age groups liked them. Did they like them on a desktop or a phone or a laptop pad? So we knew this, and this year we're carrying this forward with a hire of Marley Lucas, who is our social media and content development person. And you'll start to see more and more from Marley as this year goes on. We also reimburse the chapters and the groups on time every month for their portion of the dues and all their donations that we receive. The customer service department, Lisa Goodman, sent an average of 7,000 renewal notices a month, every month last year to our members. And what really surprised me, which we monitor and look at, our staff processed over 350,000 emails, phone calls, and texts last year. And I can tell you, based on this year, we're going to blow that number away. So we're having a lot of communications with people outside this office. Lastly, I want to say that thank you to the staff. All this is possible because of the staff. It's not me, it's the staff. So I'm very, very fortunate, and we as an organization are very fortunate to have the wonderful staff we do. And no matter where you are, where you're listening, or if you're in person here, be sure and thank them. As I mentioned lastly, that the annual report and all financial information will be on the website. This is the slideshow is actually published into a booklet, and that booklet will be on the web very shortly. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing me to give you this report.
Hello, I am Jody Smith. I'm your program director, and I'm going to give you the statements, goals, and partners report today. So I'm going to read our mission statement because every single thing we do must fall under this mission statement. And our mission is to inspire hope and improve the quality of life of heart patients and their families through ongoing peer-to-peer support, education, and advocacy. And everyone should have that memorized because it is a lofty mission, but it's an important mission. Our vision, and I'm going to read these 3 statements because I think they're very important to read, is to be the premier, I don't have that. The vision.
to be the premier nationwide resource and peer-to-peer support network for all heart patients and their families affected by heart disease across the lifespan. And we truly do before birth to past end of life, because you heard Amanda talk about the angel boxes. You're never not part of us. We want you to feel like you belong and you're included in our family all the time, no matter how old or young you are. New this year, we put up in 2022 year, we put up a diversity, equity, and inclusion statement, and this is vitally important to who we are. So I'm going to read this as well. And this was well researched, by the way. Al worked with the university, and I worked with other organizations that have DEI statements, and we came up with this statement. MHI believes that every member, volunteer, advocate, donor, and employee must have equal access to MHI support, education, and advocacy services. MHI is committed to a culture of ensuring, cultivating, and increasing diversity and equality within the organization and fostering an environment of safety and inclusion for all. What that means to all of you, all of the chapter leaders, all the regional leaders, all the national leaders, is this is who we are, an organization that fosters inclusion. And every activity we do, everything we do should have that in mind, and this statement needs to be followed. Okay, now I'm not going to read these to you because they're on the website. So is the mission and vision and DEI statement. But you can see that we developed very carefully, the board together a few years ago developed statements for education, what we want to do, what our goals are with education, with support, and with advocacy. So I'm going to encourage you to go to the website. You can see them up here. But anytime you're working in one of these areas in your chapters groups with your members, I'd like you to think about these statements. And when you create new activities or new programs, an educational program, that you think about these and you follow them. So we have great goals. These are the 2022 goals, and they haven't changed this year at all. The graphics changed, but the goals haven't. We came up with these after many planning meetings with the board of directors, and I'm very proud of them because I think we looked at all the different areas where we need to reach certain milestones, and we do have under these measurable tasks. So these are overarching, but we have very specific measurable tasks under each of these. So the first one you can see is expand our reach. And this is demographically, geographically. Our diverse DEI statement certainly speaks to that, to create meaningful connections for all people. Building holistic programs, so you can see more and more, we're not just looking at heart disease or cardiovascular disease, but we've done programs in sleep and CBD, in chronic kidney disease and CBD, in mental health, and in many different aspects. Building awareness, recruiting advocates. We also recruit, educate, and empower advocates, foster fundraising, and of course, increase diversity. A very exciting occurrence with the Mended Hearts Inc. is we have become more and more global in what we're doing. And so we have become members and partners with all of these global organizations that you see here, from Global Arch dealing with congenital heart disease to Global Heart Hub, and most of us, Mandy and Al and I, have all been speakers there. World Heart Federation we just went to and we spoke at them. Al and I got to do sessions. So we have become more and more ensconced in the international community. So next I'm going to give the advocacy report to you. So you can see the things, these are our priorities for 2022 on the next slide. Okay, and these are still our priorities right now. So these haven't changed so far this year. We're looking at different things and we sign on to different things and get involved in different things, but these are our main priorities. So we wanted to increase patient engagement at the FDA and CMS. In fact, we did a listening session with the FDA on single ventricle physiology, and my son actually with single ventricle spoke in that, and that was led by Cura Strategies. We also want to centralize reporting for pulse ox screening. So pulse oximetry screening in newborns to check for CHD has been, every state has adopted it, but then there's not a lot of data collection and reporting on it. So we're working on that. Building evidence for peer support. This is kind of cool because in the end goal is to have peer support covered by insurance, because peer support is evidence-based in the mental health space, so why not chronic disease? And also increasing research and innovation is always a priority for us. We always go for research funding at the NIH, CDC, and everywhere we can. We had some really cool lunch and learns. If you haven't been to one of our lunch and learns, you should attend them, and they're recorded, so you can see them even now. The one we did this year, which I'm not going to talk about, go watch it. It's amazing. But last year we did them on non-medical switching and the importance of self-advocacy. This is, no one should have a right to switch your medication. You know, your doctor and you decide that, not an insurance company or someone else. Lunch and learn with the CDC, the current state of CHD newborn screening. The Carroll Act Lunch and Learn, and thanks to a lot of our efforts and other organizations' efforts, the Carroll Act was passed and now is in law, and that's to study valve disease. The one that, and again, on the Fontaine-Udenaville exercise longitudinal assessment, which is the FUEL trial. And so then again, that is looking at the single ventricle issues. We also had a virtual Hill Day. And we kept calling it a virtual fly-in, and I'm like, how do you virtually fly in? That's a mystery. But anyway, it was a virtual Hill Day. We had about 164 participants representing 32 states, and we engaged in 185 meetings with members of congressional staff and 10 actual members of Congress. So some of you got lucky enough to meet with your actual member. So thank you.
And now you're going to hear about the 2022 Standing Committee reports. So I was the chairperson for the MHI Medical Advisory Council. I'm not going to name the names of the council members. I would just like to thank them all. They're esteemed healthcare providers around the US, and we're very lucky to have them as a guiding ship for our organization. So we are lucky enough to have an awesome Mended Little Hearts Medical Advisory Board, and they help us with a lot of our materials. They also review a lot of our materials. We have a big program coming out now, and you can see, and they're from, the exciting thing about this Medical Advisory Board too is they're from a lot of the major children's hospitals from around the nation. And then we could not do what we do without our corporate advisory council, our CAC members. These members are not just people who give us funding. They are people who roll up their sleeves and they create the programs with us. And you can see who was in 2022 here. And they helped us develop one of the best things you saw Mandy talk about earlier is the Welcome Home Heart Failure Program. And that program has been phenomenal. And the goal is to try to keep people out of the hospital after they come home for heart failure, because readmission is really high after that time. So we have a 12-week program. When Mandy was showing those numbers, that's for a 12-week program that we had 188 people enrolled in. Our goal was 100. We have many more than that now. So that's very exciting. And that was a program we created in partnership with Cytokinetics. So it's really important that we thank these members extremely much because they're amazing.
Thank you, Jody. Hello, everyone. It's me again. I was very proud to serve on the Mended Little Hearts Steering Committee, first as a regional director and then stepping into the VP role. we do a lot of really great things, and I'm very proud of everything that we have put forth. We have some really great committee members. A lot of our RDs are involved in this. It's another way that they give their time, in addition to some other really great people, for Joni Williams, Heather Davey, Ashley Baxley, yeah, I said that right, Liz Blumenfeld, just so many great people. And a lot of the things that we worked on this year, we met 10 times in 2022, and we continue to work very hard on our Rock Your Star program, which is one of our biggest advocacy. And as a mom of a heart child who, sorry, gonna cry, who when we first started the Rock Your Scar program, didn't like to show a scar. He was very sensitive about it. And now that child goes swimming in a pool without a swim shirt because he's that proud of his scar. And that's how awesome these programs can be. We also helped continue the Share Your Heart program. It had a lot of different facets. You guys saw the really great things that we've been doing. And then, of course, our World of Support, which is our huge fundraiser from September to October. So we want everybody to help us with that again. That's it for me. That's it. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Denise Duszkowski. I'm currently the Executive Vice President, and I've been fortunate enough to chair a couple of our committees, the first being the Election Committee. And I would like to thank Candida Schendel and Ray Trapp for 4 years of service on these committees. A lot of work has been done over the last 4 years, so thank you so very much. The MHI Election Committee presented and updated the MHI election procedures, forms, and timeline for the 2023-2025 national elections for the MHI Board of Directors, which were unanimously approved by the board. Some of the things that we did in the past year in 2022, we updated the procedures and forms, as I previously mentioned, including the timeline. We worked with the MHI Field Services and Communications Director to ensure availability, communication of, and access to the documents needed by the MHI members for the MHI election process, which is a little bit gruesome. We put you all through it, so thank you for participating in it. Actually, your candidate resume, your intent to serve forms. We also obviously produce the election procedures for kind of ballots, getting bios and headshots for national news and communications. And it all has to be done within the timeline that we've established. We collect and review candidate resumes, interviewed applicants. We had 12 applicants this past year for the executive offices and for regional director positions. We established a slate of candidates to be presented to the MHI membership. And finally, we confirmed the winners and communicated results to the candidates, the MHI Board of Directors, and the MHI Field Services and Communications Director for communication to the MHI membership. And now I'd like to present on nominating committee. Once again, thank you so very much to Candida and to Ray. Could not have done it without you. So thank you so very much for all the time. And it is a lot of time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We presented the updated MHI nomination and appointment procedures and all the forms to the MHI Board of Directors, which were once again unanimously approved. We recommended one applicant for the MLH VP position, Amanda Stewart, who was approved unanimously by the MHI Board. We reviewed the candidate. Who was Amanda? That was it. That's all we had to do this past year. That's all we had to do. It was a good thing because we were very busy with elections. But we made that recommendation. The board did unanimously approve her becoming the MLH VP for the remainder of the term 2021 to 2023. Now I'll turn it over to Al Voss.
Thank you, Denise. Chair of the Bylaws Committee, it was a very easy year because we did not have to meet. I like those committees. The Bylaws Committee is responsible for reviewing any proposed amendment to the bylaws, or coming up with bylaws that may need to be changed. Last year, we received no recommendation for changing the bylaws. We received no proposed amendments. Therefore, we didn't meet. I want to thank the committee members, but they were happy too that they didn't have to do it. Thank you.
So now we've got our town hall questions and Al is going to take those and I'm going to help moderate the chat, so.
As I tell the staff, the answer is no, 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 no. Don't I?
So in the Q and A, we just a couple of questions. When will the slides be available afterwards?
Next week sometime. The slides and the slides will be available sometime toward the end of next week, maybe a little bit into the week after that. And the annual report book will be available at the same time.
One other question in regards to the visitor training. It's offline right now and it will be online as soon as possible. We're working on that.
Yeah, we just learned that there was a problem with the links and everything. We don't run that website. It's actually a third-party vendor. And they were writing us today. I look for the visiting to be back on next week. Middle of the week, most likely.
I don't see any other questions in the Q and A.
Any questions from anyone? Any last questions before I turn this over? Okay, Mandy.
I think we are ready to move on, correct? To Mr. Ron Enriquez, final words.
Thank you so much, Mandy. Dear members and friends, as I transition out of the role of MHI president, I've been reflecting on my time as leader of this organization and the wonderful things we have accomplished. I learned about Mended Hearts in 2005 because of a visit from Alan, an accredited visitor. He inspired me and gave me hope that I could recover from the devastating. I didn't know this decision would lead me to chapter president and then as your president. I will leave with wonderful memories of hearing inspirational stories from Mended Hearts, Mended Little Hearts, and Young Mended Hearts. We remain focused on the Mended Hearts Inc. vision to be the premier nationwide resource and peer-to-peer support network for all heart patients and their families affected by heart disease across the lifespan. We will continue our power of support, providing meaningful connections for patients and families at the right time. We will continue the power of education, empowering patients and their families with relevant and educational resources to make better healthcare decisions. We will also continue the power of advocacy. Through advocacy, our patients and their family are engaged and energized to make informed decisions and improve their quality of life. Our members and volunteers are the heart of Mended Hearts Incorporated. Let's work together to outreach and serve all heart patients, caregivers, and families worldwide. It is your love, enthusiasm, and then dedication that is the face of Mended Hearts. Thank you for all you do for Mended Hearts, and it's great to be alive and help others.
Right, we've got the board officer transition now. I'll let our president and our president-elect Denise.
As we gather tonight, I realize we have a wealth of talented and outstanding leaders. MHI is fortunate in that we have so many dedicated, passionate leaders who are willing to serve. We're on the threshold of an increasingly exciting future for MHI, In this digital age with its marvels of technology and healthcare environment calling for the patient perspective unlike never before, the times are indeed calling for challenge, courage, and commitment. As it has been in the past, MHI will meet the challenges of the future, finding new ways to provide hope and encouragement to heart patients and their families. Tonight, we have arrived at an important junction. Installation of national officers and board members. The changing of the guard, if you will. Our leaders are only as strong as we are. The members make them. It is indeed a cooperative, supportive, and participative system. I'm confident that with your help, their leadership will take us proudly into the future. And now, will the regional directors please stand to take their pledge? Please raise your right hand. It is the responsibility of you, the regional director, to represent your respective region on the board of directors, to cooperate and direct the activities of the chapters within your regions and the groups, to communicate the activities and programs from the board to the members in your region, to promote interests of the Mended Hearts Incorporated at all times, to represent the association with dignity, loyalty, and sincerity, and to take the voice of the members to the board. Do you accept these responsibilities and pledge your best effort for the successful administration of these duties for the term of 2023 to 2025? If so, please respond, I so pledge. I so pledge. Thank you. May the Vice President of Mended Hearts, Lee Parker, and the Vice President of Mended Little Hearts, please stand. And raise your right hand. It is your responsibility to serve as a member of the Executive Committee and Board of Directors to provide continuity of leadership as elected representatives on the governing body of Mended Hearts Incorporated. You will perform the duties outlined in the bylaws and assist the President as directed and promote the interest of the organization. You accept these responsibilities and pledge your best effort for the successful administration of these duties for the term 2023 to 2025? If so, please respond, I so pledge.
I so pledge.
Thank you. I invite the treasurer, Al Voss. Stand and raise your right hand. The responsibility as keeper of the assets are heavy, indeed, and carry legal fiduciary requirements. You must at all times be familiar with and control all activities related to the flow of funds, and members have placed a high level of trust in your ability. You accept these responsibilities and pledge your best efforts for the successful administration of these duties for the term of 2023 to 2025? If so, please respond, I so pledge.
I so pledge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. President-elect Denise Duke-Wisconsin, would you please come forward? Members of the Mended Hearts Incorporated are bestowing upon you the highest honor and position of our organization. We will look at you for progressive leadership, for understanding and consideration of special situations that affect our membership individually and as a whole, for careful and considered evaluation of that which is necessary to bring about change, and always to enhance the objectives of the Mended Hearts Incorporated. Your office represents power and authority, but remember, experience has taught us that both must be used fairly, sparingly, and with much forethought and judgment. Our members have found in you all the qualities of leadership necessary to fulfill these responsibilities. Listen carefully to the wise voices of these members. Please raise your right hand. If you accept this office and its responsibilities for the coming term of office, and if you pledge to fulfill these duties to the best of your ability, please respond by saying, "I so pledge."
I so pledge.
Thank you, Madam President.
I invite the past president, Ron Manriquez, to raise your right hand. Ron, your responsibility as past president is to be an advisor to the MHI Board of Directors using your experience gained from being an MHI president. Do you accept your office and its responsibility for the coming term of office? If so, please respond, "I so pledge."
I so pledge.
Thank you. We've now heard from the new board and their intent to serve you well. But we haven't heard from you, the membership, of your pledge to support the new board in its efforts. Therefore, I'd like to ask you to pledge your continued support and participation, your willingness to serve when called upon in any capacity, and your commitment to the MHI mission. Please raise your right hand and let's respond in harmony on the count of 3 with the words, "I so pledge." Ready? Ready? The count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I so pledge. Thank you so very, very much. And now on behalf of our membership, I declare the officers and board members of MHI duly installed and wish for all of us 2 years filled with much forward direction and joy. Thank you. I promise I won't be long. Thank you so very much. Members of the Mended Hearts Incorporated, thank you for joining us today. At the outset, I would like to give a heartfelt thank you to the staff, members, and all those whose time and efforts have made tonight's presentation possible, including all who created, executed, and participated in our 2022 programs, goals, and strategies. Well done and very much appreciated by all of you. Dear members, I am humbled and most grateful to accept this honor you have bestowed upon me, the position of President and Chairperson of the Board of the Mended Hearts Incorporated. I am committed to working collaboratively with each of you at every level to further and uphold our mission of inspiring hope and improving the quality of life of our patients, just to make sure I get it right, and their families through ongoing peer-to-peer support, education, and advocacy throughout the lifespan. No one, no group, no organization does multidimensional support better than MHI. While we have grown dramatically in membership over the past few years, we know that we have so much more potential to support more patients and families affected by heart disease globally, including underserved communities, through our education and advocacy efforts. Our programs are second to none, and the possibilities are endless. Everyone has a heart, and if not born with congenital heart disease, everyone has the potential to acquire some form of cardiovascular disease just by living long enough. We have all taken the pledge today, committing to support, participate, and serve the MHI mission. Let's do this together. One heart for all. Thank you for the honor to serve. Here's to an outstanding year and future for all of us with MHI. Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening.